back
Yup.
again right after with a creaky chair. It's a good noise.
Yeah.
It's nice and gentle to the ears. Okay, so we're back here a day after. So we had some additional topics. We wanted to continue the vet thing, the, I guess, almost downside with some statistics, like the objective downsides.
Why did we choose to be a vet?
Why, and
What
then we'll
are
talk
the
about why we,
Problems in the profession.
yeah,
flaws,
problems,
strategy.
and then also why we chose to, and then the Steve Jobs thing, and then we'll start with the Nobel Prize news that you know.
I mean, the Nobel Prize for medicine was given to microRNA guy who discovered it. I did not go through the depths of that, but maybe that will be something very interesting. I think I should go through it.
Yeah, the microRNA.
Okay. But the other Nobel Prize for physics, I think, was given to the engineering team for the first time for AlphaFold. So for people who do not know what it is, AlphaFold was an algorithm, a AI based algorithm that was produced by a company called DeepMind from UK. That was acquired by Google for $500 million, I think, and now it's worth several $billion. So it's part of Google now, and they are probably doing all the AI research for Google at this point, and they released this model. The entire reason for this model to be existing is because the problem of protein folding. We all know proteins are 3D structures or 4D structures. We can know the amino acid sequences of protein or to create a protein, but we never know how these amino acid sequences are in the three-dimensional structure.
3D
so
space,
the function could be revealed or how it differs. Sometimes two similar sequences are the same exact sequences with different fold will have different function. We do not know how to predict those things. When I give an amino acid sequence, how will it look like or something. So it's a problem that scientists were struggling for 60 years. So there was this competition for to try to crack that. Okay, it's called CASP. Okay, Mike Baker was the guy who was also getting the Nobel Prize anyway. So he created it, and big pharmaceutical giants were participating in these contests every year with all their money and computers and stuff. Suddenly an engineering company comes, it has no idea about biology, and then
a lot of data, predicting.
Just the data, that's all. And then they come up with it, and they immediately win the first year by a mile, 60% or something. Out of the rest of the team is 40% accuracy out of 100. Means they are failing more 4 out of 10 times. You see, these people were doing more than 50% of time getting it right, 60% right. And then the next year they came, or 2 years after they came, in the middle of pandemic, straight away went to super Himalaya of 85, 90, something like that. It's like at this point their accuracy is so good that you don't need to do X-ray crystallography to determine the structure of a protein. You just can give it the sequences to the AI. AI will give you almost 90-95% accuracy of.
Yeah, because they'll just guess based on what it's given. Okay,
From all the data it is trained on, it is now able to guess it actually. So that's so magical, to break that curse. And then now 2024, in 4 years they are given freaking Nobel Prize.
Yeah, that's insane. In just 4 years, but also because it's mostly about just predicting the structure of it. And to most people that sounds kind of, that seems a little bit useless, right? Just knowing how something looks.
Yeah, that you can talk about why it is necessary, right? Why do you think it's very necessary to know the structure of a protein?
I mean, if you know the structure of the protein, you can see what is needed to. Because most proteins are enzymes, and for people that don't know what an enzyme is, because it is a word that's used wrongly a lot in mainstream, I would say. An enzyme is just any kind of catalyst, and a catalyst is just anything that makes it so that it requires less energy to do a reaction.
Yeah.
That's what a catalyst would be, right? And then an enzyme is just a catalyst made out of a protein. I think that's pretty much it. That's the only thing. That's where it ends.
And throughout our life there are so many enzymatic, thousands and millions of enzymatic reactions that
Yeah.
basically run life. So enzyme is one big subset, and then proteins are the life form of, the lifeline of most living beings, I guess. So without proteins, none of us will exist, right? Plants and
Yeah,
mammals
because
and
the problem is you need too high of temperature to have a reaction occur without enzymes. But with enzymes, you can have it a lot cooler
yeah.
and still work. So when you have things that are very heat sensitive, like most biological things, I think that's the reason. Might be some more.
Like room temperature life can exist, Like
Yeah.
20-30 degrees.
You don't want it to be like 120. Maybe some life can live, maybe not 120. It's a pressurized gas at that point. But
I mean, Archaea might live.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. That's not the ideal place, clearly, because that's not where the majority of life happens here.
Yeah.
In our temperature ranges. But anywho, so that's why we need enzymes in order to live. But also, enzymes are quite useful in the fact that if you know how a protein is folded, right? This is just theoretical in like how I see the utility of AlphaFold. I don't know if it's possible, but the way that I see it is that if you know how proteins fold, you can know how to fold proteins, if that makes sense. So you can make new things.
Yeah, exactly. New drugs solve problems. Let's say coronavirus happens. You see the spike proteins. You design a drug to a protein-based drug to counteract it, to tag it, mark it, so that the immune system kills it.
Or just make an enzyme that breaks down that specific virus wall.
Lock and key mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Most of the proteins are in the form of receptors in the surface of the cell as well, which kind of does so many things, how you get sick, how you don't get sick, how bad microorganisms are killed, how they are
and like cancer therapy can be useful. Like talk about
everything.
like immunotherapy. They talk about like the biggest problem is having the like your cells recognize cancer, and what you can do is like mark the cancer, or maybe have your immune cells have specific things like receptors to recognize certain proteins, whatever, or lack of. Who knows? So yeah, that's why it's important, and also for like biological things, right? You can have an enzyme that breaks down oil to break down oil spills, right?
So many things,
right?
Yeah.
So it's just a way to create a catalyst out of very basic resources. Does that make sense? So you don't need like platinum to create like a catalytic converter. And you don't have to find the metal that happens to be a catalyst for this kind of thing.
Yeah, because designing proteins, making these things are much more cheaper and at scale, and you don't need so much quantity.
Yeah.
You see, like, and also even if we needed so much quantity, which is still possible compared to rare earth metals.
And you don't have to figure out which one's the most ideal. You'll just make it so that it becomes ideal. We don't know everything about catalysts, of course. Maybe there's some other way, but I think enzymes are very much a good.
I mean, and also they started to make like a spin-off out of DeepMind just because AlphaFold
For what?
So powerful. They know it's a massive thing. They now created a new company called Isomorphic Lab that uses AlphaFold. And what this Isomorphic Labs is doing is basically tied up with all pharmaceutical giants, all closed network. We don't know only. That's all. It's very secretive. It's all closed.
Yeah, but isomorphic, it's like such a bad guy kind of.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's what they have decided to do. And then the office is located in Lausanne, where I went EPFL. So
in Switzerland?
People in EPFL graduate and get hired.
Oh my god. And they work for this AI corporate machine.
Yeah. So it's like they are chill though. So I mean, like, so they are doing those things there. Yeah. So it's very exciting though. When I was studying about protein, I was so into those things. Like how they do. AI is able to predict those things. An interesting thing is it's a sequence, right? It's a tabular data, right? It's a textual data, right? At the end of the day. But how they solved it, at least the first version, they made it into images. And then they solved it, And then the next case, 2020, what they did is the ChatGPT version using transformers. It's a unique architecture in AI. They used that thing to solve it. That's what pushed it from 60 to literally 85-90%. So just making a textual problem into images made them made their solution usable from nothing 40-30% to 60%. And then from images to the latest Transformers thing, it became 80. Now it's probably on. Now recently they released AlphaFold 2 or 3. I don't know. I don't even remember at this point. That solved biochemistry. Materials is completely.
Oh yeah,
not
you told
only-
me about that
yeah.
because you told me like, oh god, people that study biochemistry are gonna be out of a job or something.
Or
Yeah.
materials inside. Now AI is designing 100,000 millions of new material alloys.
Yeah.
You just have to test them.
Mm.
You just pick a couple of them that make sense, and then people are testing to find like carbon nanotubes, stents, I don't know, for removing plastics in ocean. You can have billion applications, man. It's crazy actually. It's so crazy though. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'm so excited in the next couple of years what's gonna happen into this field of protein folding, drug discovery. I mean, protein folding is kind of solved at this point, like pharma, healthcare, how it advances.
Yeah, how to use the thing once you know how
not
to.
only healthcare, in everything else, like life.
Yeah, because I said, enzymes are just you can now make catalysts for anything in theory. I think maybe. So that's the good thing about AlphaFold. So that's why I think it's a cool thing, of course.
That's why we wanted to open with this thing so that everybody gets a chance to know like who are these guys and who got these prizes. So the guy who created the CASP contest, the University of Washington, I think, he got the prize, the Baker Lab, and then the team of AlphaFold in the UK. Demis Hassabis and the guys, it's so many memes came, A guy graduated in 2017, joined DeepMind in 2018 or something. In 4 or 5 years, he got Nobel Prize.
I know. That's probably the cousin, you get compared to, right?
Oh, it's so funny though. One of the engineers, Awesome.
What was he Indian?
No.
Okay.
I mean, of course, there is an Indian in that paper. I know. But I mean, of course, there are Indians in Fiji. Indians and Chinese are mostly dominate the programming space. So
Yeah, because they're hyper obsessive about these things.
I mean, speaking about healthcare, so we wanted to go to the next topic.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did we choose veterinary medicine, and what makes you happy when you think about it? Like, what are the reasons that you think you chose veterinary medicine?
What were the reasons? I think mostly I just wanted to choose one of the more difficult things I could choose. Like, out of the options available, what was the most difficult thing that I already liked? Because I always liked biology and medicine in school, and also I do like the freedom of veterinary medicine for innovation. Those are the main reasons, I would say. Like the challenge and also the freedom to innovate, because that's a huge issue because I listened a lot to the Med School Insider.
Yeah.
The guy, I don't remember his name, but at the time I listened a lot to him. He's a medical school, or he's a doctor, like a certified doctor, who dropped out, like most of them want to.
I mean, he graduated and then
graduated, worked for a bit, and then quit. He was a plastic surgeon. Which is a really high.
More lucrative than
it's the most competitive one out of all the specialties, which says a lot about humans, in my opinion.
Nobody's happy with their fucking physical activity.
Yeah, but plastic surgeons also do like skin grafts after burn surgery.
I mean,
they do
you
other
see
stuff.
the ratio, who comes more.
Yeah, who pays the money. So I just thought
how
it was
is it
fun.
becoming a 6-figure salary business already? Half a million plus.
Yeah, the highest paying ones, it's plastic surgery on top, and then I think it's followed by dermatology.
Ah, okay.
It's something like that.
Not cardiovascular?
It might have been dermatology was the one with the highest pay for the least amount of like hours.
It's more
very
chill. One of the chill professors.
Mm.
Roshan's father is like.
It was the most with the highest like work-life balance. It's just really high pay and not a lot of intensive surgeries anyway.
Nobody's gonna die
of a skin disease probably unless it's I don't know fucking what's it called?
Lyme disease. I don't know.
Not Lyme disease, that's not there. But what is smallpox, right? It attacks the skin.
I mean, I don't think
breaks
it's a skin
everything
disease,
inside.
Like
but you shed from the shin.
You will get it in mucus, like all those epithelial
Yeah,
cells
but
inside also.
they're also in the skin, right? They shed through there and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
they
true, true.
destroy everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, uh, yeah,
Positives
the
of
the
veterinary.
positives
Yeah.
was that he talked about the fact that in his human medicine practice there
Mm-hmm.
was no room for innovation, and that's also the same for Peter Attia, who
Mm-hmm.
mentions at least early in his book, the At Live book,
Mm-hmm.
how like he came up with this kind of formula
Mm-hmm.
for predicting dosages, when to
Mm-hmm.
renew dosages on someone who's in an IV drip,
Mm-hmm.
which is just, it's just a little bit of mental effort, and then you'll realize that this is just objectively better than waiting until the next day when you can just have, you know, exactly when you need to renew a IV bag based on the dosage and then the depletion rate or something like that. And then he wasn't allowed to implement something as simple and objectively not like beneficial for the patient, even if it was good, because they're just so conservative about most things in medicine. Like you can't try anything that's kind of more guesswork. You have to like go through all these legal things just to get to do the procedure that you theorized about doing. Whilst in veterinary medicine, there's a lot more freedom to just try,
Yeah.
attempt.
I mean, less regulations. I mean, you can
Yeah.
need to be a little bit be creative and to.
Yeah, I see people being creative all the time, right? And I think that's a lot better.
I mean, that's a very fair point, though. Like, the room for innovation is quite less, Like, if I work as a veterinarian for like 2-3 years to gain experience from the profession, and then I start doing it for the rest 30-40 years, the same thing, almost all the time the same thing.
That's why I think it'll be initially very fun to like figure out all these different procedures, and then it'll be boring, and then it'll just sit there for 30 years, 40 years. I heard like he told the med school insider told, which I didn't even consider at the time, that human medicine, and for some part I guess also veterinary medicine, is a very stable job. Like you won't lose your job, and you have a fair amount of pay. It's a very stable job. But so that's why
it's the least volatile, they say, in startup
industry.
Medicine,
you're not gonna lose your job anytime soon, probably, unless you do something stupid. But that's on you, right?
I mean, starting a healthcare business might take a while because of regulations and stuff. But once you created it, once you have some paying clients, it's mostly least volatile, more stable.
It'll just keep going. So it's a very stable job, but it can be very boring. So that's why I like veterinary medicine a little bit more, because it's a bit more variation and then a lot more innovation, and also the scalability of things. Like you can be a worker, but you can also own clinics and start to franchise, like some people do in America. Not so much in Norway, because it's impossible to.
Of Europe.
Yeah, it's impossible to start these things and have them go off the ground slightly. But in America, it's a lot more friendly. And Switzerland, it's good. Those two countries, that's about it for that. So yeah, the scalability of the profession, you get kind of, you can, like, you have the education, but you can keep going if you want to. And that's what I like about it. And also the innovation, and then the challenge of it. So that's the reasons. Because everyone's always like, oh, I like animals, which is, obviously.
I mean, who doesn't like
The
thing is, let's say people just say that I like animals, and people who like treating animals is very, very, very different, You see blood, euthanasia, death, freaking.
A lot of euthanasia. You'll be surprised. Some days, it was one day we did like 8-10 euthanasia only. We were so surprised at the end of the day. We just looked at the schedule and went, wow, we only killed today. That's it. I think I already said that, but God, some days are like that.
So it's like a lot of responsibility, a lot of service-based mindset, not like, cannot just fucking go on a vacation and all that often. You'll make money, you'll be fine, but it's a very busy kind of a life. But if you don't like it, you'll probably hate it,
Yeah. And that kind of brings us to the...
And you probably won't last,
Yeah, you probably won't last it unless you like it. But why did you choose it, though?
For mostly similar reasons. I thought like it's a noble way of being of having a career that has meaning and purpose. As a software engineer, I did not have it. I did not feel like I had any purpose. The thing is mostly also like
What?
I felt like a freaking nobody, or felt like I'm like every other Indian who's a software engineer.
Yeah, that's true.
And I did not see myself doing that for the rest 30-40 years. So now I'm into the veterinary medicine space. So the thing is like my personal goal, at least is currently, or at least initially, was like to make money through engineering so that I can be a doctor by choice and not through obligation, and I don't need to make money from veterinary medicine. At least that's what I was thinking. Now it's slightly changed, but the goal is still the same, that I don't want to make money from veterinary medicine or by treating pets. I kind of want to do it as a passionate thing.
Yeah.
But how am I gonna make that money? Either as a researcher or a businessman. But I am now trying to find the intersection where you become a researcher and in one of these big universities or Ivy League universities, or that's where I'm planning to apply, and then you start trying different businesses with the leverage of these Ivy League universities and with the ability to get some potential investments, and then you start building a product or something while being a veterinarian with for free, like just do it for the sake of doing it for your own
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, because the pay isn't great to begin with, right?
Yeah.
We already mentioned that. So we thought we could be a little bit more better than just anecdotal stuff. Was like
more statistical, more
statistical,
evidence-based.
based on a few articles we looked through. I looked through 3 articles. One from the BBC actually, and then 2 research articles. The economic side is what we'll start with because that's how we transition nicely. I think it's about the median annual wage of a veterinarian in the U.S. Keep in mind, U.S. vets get paid a lot more, a lot compared to everyone else. So the median annual wage in US 2022, so just 2 years ago, was $100,000 or £82,000 a year. But that sounds probably good, right? Most people think that's okay. It's a good salary. It's not that great in Norway. It's higher than it is in Norway, at least according to what I've seen. I haven't gotten paid the salary, so I would probably know better if I did that. But anywho, so here we have the average debt for the entire education is $179,000. And that's just if they had to take loans for the education. So obviously if they had their dad pay, it's a lot less. So either 179.5 $179,000 and $500, yeah, or $147,000, so the equivalent of that. And then there's an anecdote underneath in the BBC article, which was just the unbelievable amount of debt. He started paying his debt in 2012 when it was $289,000. It started with $289,000.
$250,000 when you start fucking your first job and you have $250,000 debt in your name. And you remember it, the thing is, USA's education system is like the worst thing ever. It has $1 trillion in debt, okay? And you can file bankruptcy if you start a company. You can fail. You buy a home, car, anything. You can file bankruptcy and let the car go or home go away or your business. But you can never escape from educational loan. It is so fucked up.
I didn't know
you
that.
You cannot cancel. You cannot fucking file bankruptcy, or you cannot. There's no way to cancel educational loan.
Get it away.
Yeah.
I know in Britain, because we have a British person working at the clinic, she got educated in London, I think, at least somewhere in England for a fact. And the way that they handle it, at least in her generation, she's worked there for quite some time. I don't quite remember the number, but the way that they did it is the debt is so high that what they've ended up doing is that they just pay it somewhat until the age of 60 or 70, and then they just remove it. So you pay as little as you can up until that point, and it accumulates probably like fivefold maybe, because you'll never be able to pay it.
It's so fucked up way of living, right? Just knowing that. For me, just the mind fuck of
Yeah, you'll never be able to own a whole lot because you have to pay the debt.
You'll be thinking about that all the time, When we had the EMI for the home also, I always used to think like, oh God, it sucks. It
sucks all the time, and then
it's like cancer, living with cancer or something.
Yeah, and they want to do some even worse. I don't know too much about it, but in Norway they want to do something worse about it. It's something akin to every time you inherit something, you also inherit the debt of the person.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. So if you inherit the house,
Norway?
I don't know. Maybe it's some Scandinavian thing. I don't know too much about it. My dad's way more into these things, obviously, because he's we're gonna inherit his stuff, and he cares. Like, will we just end up with piles of debt or something? Yeah.
Dude, that's so fucked up, man. That's so fucked up. Then that's why, like, you break the family bonds more. You denounce your dad, divorce the freaking family because freaking they have a lot of debt. I don't know.
Yeah, so how will you commit to that? Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Maybe I'll do some more research about it, because it's an interesting thing, I think, when it comes to debt, because everyone. If it's executed in one country, it might be executed in other countries, and that might be something to watch out for.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think every other country anybody will accept this shit.
Yeah, but but they'll frame it in some noble way. They'll be like, you have the right to earn your.
They'll take away your house, car, and everything. You can be free now.
Yeah.
Now you can be all the way.
Yeah, let's just frame the same concept in a different way to convince you, probably. Yeah. So yeah, that's just the debt here. So yeah, he said 289,000. That's what he started with, and he's paying it for 10 years. But because of interest, it's now from 289 to 460. Yeah. $289,000, which is a lot, because the dollar is quite strong, at least compared to mine.
Yeah.
To $500,000, so $250,000 to $500,000, almost. So that's pretty insane in my opinion. Just because of interest, it's risen to that much, and that's like it didn't even increase. It decreased. It increased because of the interest.
But I just don't understand how it is justifiable that you pay, let's say, like 1 year, right? That means what? 1 year of vet school, like you freaking pay 60,000-80,000. Like how would
it's not justifiable at all. It was mentioned in the book, actually, the Vet for Life, the tuition fees. We didn't mention those last time. I wanted to, but it's good that we covered it now. The tuition fees in 1999 for the Royal
Veterinary College
in London was £12,500 per annum.
That is
still a lot, but it's London.
I cannot pay that today.
No, yeah, but it's London. It's fine. And then in 2022, it's 36.5. 36.5. So it increased by 3 times as much, right? 12 to 36, right? That's a 3 times increase. Which is and the salary has increased from 24 in 1999, which is a lot in 1999, right? Now it's 32k per annum average salary, at least in UK. But it's per annum though, so it's a little bit worse. Or better, I guess.
I mean, all these depressive statistics, right? Then, like, that's why you have to understand, like, people still choose. There is high demand for veterinarians. People are still choosing it. That's what most people are very passionate people. They do not know how to handle money, handle business, or calculate their debts and how fucked up they are going to be for the rest of their life. This is something people have to consider, because the older generation of veterinarians are quitting. Committing suicide, burning out, fatigue, compassion fatigue, retiring early, and the demand is only increasing for more vets.
Yeah, actually, I found a statistic on it. In the US, right? Every application with just one application, so there's one applicant per 10 applications. So like, you have 10 jobs, only one person applies.
Really?
Look at this. With
God.
That was a charger. Don't worry. with just one applicant for every 10 open veterinarian jobs, that leaves most clinics chronically understaffed.
Yeah, Jennifer, one of her colleagues, like and friends in our veterinary medicine course, she's from USA. She tells the same. They are always understaffed.
And
She
it's the
tells
same
me
case in
stories,
our
dude.
clinic.
They don't even sit.
Yeah, it's the same case in our clinic too. Like the receptionist told us, like, it's so nice to, every summer when you guys come along, because we'll be like 4 more people, and then I can actually sit and have my lunch. Usually he just kind of approaches this like the eating room, has a snack, and then goes back, and he's just the receptionist, not even a doctor.
Yeah.
So
dude, I went to the clinic. I just saw how everything happened, and my back was hurting. Like, this scene was so exhausting.
Purely witnessing it was enough, I think. Yeah. So yeah, it seems to. It's my experience. It's also the same thing here. It's being reported. According to the American Animal Hospital Association, American Animal Hospital Association came up with those numbers, at least for, that was also for human medicine. They had 25% turnover, so 1 in 4 leaves their job for human medicine. But for us, it's a lot worse.
I mean, worse than that. For sure, yeah.
We have a lot worse, though, I think. Just one applicant per 10 veterinary jobs, which is insane. According to that statistic, at least. So yeah, I thought it would be interesting because you mentioned the lack as well. So that naturally leads to the next problem, right? Here's another study on the which is called Stress and Strain Among Veterinarians, a scoping view. I found it on the I think it was called the National Library of Medicine. It's just like a publishing web page. So just in the US, a total of 228 studies on like stressors in the workplace for vets. They found the number one thing, or most of the main problems were job inequity, pressure to perform, which is natural in medicine. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Shift work, because most of them work in the weekends as well. You have to remember that. Feeling of loss of control, low social support in the workplace, and overtime. And the long working hours increased mortality by 20%. It's not morbidity, which is suffering. Mortality, death by 20%. More work-family conflict increased odds of self-reported poor physical health by 90%, which I think is kind of already related to the overstaff and like the long working hours. Yeah. So long working hours is increasing mortality by 20%, but also work-family conflict, which is caused by mostly overworking for the most part, is causing 90% of poor physical health. It seems self-reported, of course, so it's subjective, but you know, when you're doing a large survey, you have to ask rather than check every one, and that's just like the physical stuff, I guess. Just the long work hours. So that kind of tells understaffing leads to long work hours, which leads to the depression and poor work-life balance. Exactly. And here's another one saying, again, stressors psychologically is work schedule, financial issues, and client demands and expectations, and ethical dilemmas and treatment options. Because you have to be on top of everything, right? So that's the problem. Of course, you don't have to be. That's why it's always great to be in a large clinic, because then you don't have to carry everything yourself.
I mean, but that's the curse of veterinary clinics, right? There's no large clinics per se. There are always like smaller clinics, like mid-sized clinics maximum, and there's no way you could hire so many people and keep them employed with the
because the main problem right now is people. You don't have enough of them. Yeah, that's the main problem.
And also the toll it takes, so it's like not many people are even into it.
Yeah,
it's not sustainable. That's the point, right? Like, many people are interested and they love animals. They all want to help, and once they see what's happening here, they don't want to do it anymore. Yeah.
Once you see how you euthanize like a chicken or a Or
Guinea
yeah,
pig, dog.
but certain animals are more brutal because they don't even do drugs to euthanize them. They like
Oh, okay.
hit him over the head with a
Oh yeah, I have
stick.
seen that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I have been told, like some people have told that.
Yeah, like the teacher told us, like you have to be prepared to grab a piglet
Oh yeah, that's
and
so
then
yeah.
smash its head in, essentially,
If you,
in the most ethical way, obviously. But still, you have to be
I mean,
prepared.
what is ethical
Yeah.
about it? I don't know, but yeah, sure.
And the problems with that, like she also told anecdotal something about like not a colleague but somebody that she heard about euthanize piglets with rocks, which is, I mean, it does kill them instantly. It's a heavy rock on the head, you're dead instantly. But somebody else saw the veterinarian do that, and because somebody else witnessed the totally fine killing, I think, of an animal, it's quick and everything, as good as it can be done on a mass scale, right? For cheap.
I mean, yeah, it's such a gray area, man.
It's a gray area.
I don't know what to say. Only I don't know whether I agree with it or not. But just is like, oh god.
But you might end up in a situation like that where you have to kill something for cheap, the most ethical way possible, and then you might have to resort to hitting it over the head or using a rock to kill it because you have to save money, essentially, or else they won't hire you. And then somebody else saw that person do that with a rock, and then that person lost their practicing license, and then they had to get it back years later. So that's also something you have to deal with. The people problem
it's
is
like the pressure they're putting in vets. Like, what should we do? Like should we inject then the drugs cost, injection, all those things? Then
yeah, and also the cost there. Oh god. But the people is what I also wanted to talk about a little. The people can be extremely cruel. That's just one of the stories we told about the rock euthanasia thing, and also which is also a mental thing, right? The person who's throwing the rock on the piglet doesn't want to do that most of the time, which you have to be prepared for, right?
Yeah.
And the chicks, you have to be able to crush them, whatever, right?
Yeah, how would they do?
Like
and
we got,
I think the
for example,
modern ones are doing gas chambers or something.
Yeah, but gas chambers, those aren't more ethical. They're just
that's what we think. Most educated people think. White collar people in the offices think, oh, it's all gas chamber. It's more freaking.
Yeah, it's just a muffled box. You don't hear it.
Remember the documentary that we saw about pigs? The guy who did pigs. He went to UK's one of the slaughterhouses and he put cameras, risking his own lives. Do check it out. I forgot the name of it.
Oh my god! What do you want them to Google? Pig.
Pig documentary by a guy. The pigs are getting slaughtered inhumanly was the thing. It was gas chamber once again.
Yeah, so.
But he went and put the camera. They were suffering the entire time.
Yeah.
There's no humane way of doing it other than just sedating and then.
Yeah, and also
they do for small and companion.
The pig teacher, the.
Yeah, one of
technology teachers. Yeah, also told about. The gas chamber is just like it's fine up until they start suffocating and then they start screaming and then you realize, oh, maybe it's not better in any way because you still want to breathe, right? It's a mechanism in you.
So I mean, we are trying to say is like there's no right answer or right or wrong, but we have to at least talk about it. Right?
Yeah, so we're just preparing you because the reason we're preparing you is because most people don't realize this. And also another anecdote about killing. We got a wild bird that was sick. It was a hatchling, like it was newborn.
Okay.
It was just hatched, and it was like everything was broken almost, I think. And then they just brought it outside and smashed it with a rock.
Oh.
Right. Which isn't. It's not the greatest thing, but it is instant death.
Yeah.
Right, because you can't inject. You don't know what the animal might react to with the medicine, right?
Yeah, I mean.
What do you give a wild bird that has broken every bone? Like, what can you give? Where to give? It's bleeding out. Whatever.
And suffering extremely, but
do you give medicine? Who's gonna pay for it, right?
Yeah,
because these things are expensive.
Because at the end of the day, it's still a business. Somebody has to pay for it. Like it's not falling in like a donation, non-profit.
Yeah.
Many people assume like veterinary medicine is like unwritten law, as if it's like a charity or something.
Yeah.
Like no.
it has to work as a business as well, which is important. So you will have to eventually at some point do these kind of weird gray area things when it comes to life and death, which I think most people aren't prepared for. There's another thing for so we don't remain on this for too long. This is the last one, I think. This was also an anecdote about how people can be kind of not realizing that it is a business and can cause problems. It was a German Shepherd, 4-month-old, which is a puppy, right? Which swallowed a skewer, which you skew meat, right, to grill, and needed emergency surgery, life-saving surgery, right? And it cost $10,000, right?
Wow.
Which is a lot of money, and the owner couldn't pay, which is varies $10,000, or which is a lot of money. So they transferred owners to an owner that could afford it, and then the owner didn't give it back, who got it transferred, you see. So they paid the full fee, and then, or maybe not the full, and then they wanted to keep owning it, I guess. And then the original owner went to the news, reported on it, it went viral, and then what was it for? How long was it? Yeah. So the veterinary medical center had hourly threats to burn down and kill the staff members. And the phone lines were deliberately jammed, so no real emergencies could get through.
Oh, God.
And they actually had to hire guards, police, to be stationed outside the building in case of somebody actually trying to come.
But what did the veterinary clinic do here, though? It's like
they treated they treated the animal and did it for the price which it cost, because these things, I mean, an endoscope is $120,000, right? That's just the endoscope, not even the procedure at this point. And you also have to have the vet, which has the salary, which is already pretty low.
A soft tissue specialist.
Soft tissue specialist, and also the drugs and medicines and the tools, the autoclave in order to sterilize the tools, a nurse to help you keep track of everything,
staff, team,
documentation of all the data, like those are just the things that I can think of right now.
Minimum,
yeah, minimum. There's probably a whole lot more to somebody who's actually done a surgery like this, right? So those are just the things. It costs $10,000 because it's probably close to that amount for the clinic in costs to do. So and then they just treated an animal, and then had a price for it, and then the owner didn't like the price and also the outcome, and then they suffered for it, because it's a very emotional thing, obviously. So that's something you'll have to deal with a lot. I haven't had that bad stories, but it's similar, of people just misreporting, calling the police because for us it was because we didn't deliver their animal on time. It's insane. Some people, you'll meet them in insane people.
Even in the clinic I saw, I thought some people were talking for a long time. I thought they seem to be very nice. Later, because it was in Polish, I don't understand. Later my professor was telling me, dude, they are the biggest hypocrites are.
You'll get stories from the people, or the people working there, telling you about that customer, how they're really vicious, and they might just lash out.
It's so toxic though.
So you'll definitely experience these things. So these are just the financial stress, which we talked about, the cost of running a business, and also the low salaries, and then the extreme work hours, which is, for the most part, according to these studies, the number one problem is the work hours, and that's because of a lack of veterinarians. Because they get paid very little, in my opinion. I think
this is going to be repeated.
It
will be circling this place the entire time. Very few people choose, obviously more demand, and they charging more, and then nobody can treat their pets, and then it's
it's just a vicious circle, and I think at the end of the day, the reason we mention these things is because people that want to be vets should be aware of these things, but aren't aware of these things, because it allows you to make a greater evaluation of, is this the right thing? I still think it's the right thing for me.
Me too.
Maybe not the traditional sense, try to figure out the problems it has. I like the work that you do, if you see what I mean. Like the genuine work that you perform is fun. It's nice. But the cost in order to be able to perform all that work it's too high.
Yeah.
No sleep, extra hours. Most likely the family is going to be a little bit more irritable.
Yeah.
Compared to a regular job, and the pay is not great either. So the long hours and the pay.
Yeah.
So those are the main issues.
I mean, I guess like we did like a good 45 minutes.
Yeah, it took
That's
a while
awesome.
to walk through these things.
I mean, yeah, these are problems that are like that needs to be talked and cannot be fixed in one conversation. So
Yeah.
probably we'll be talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, because we'll be meeting these things and we want to vent
Yeah.
about these things. And I think it's considering how prevalent it is in every country, and it's like my experience, Joe's experience, is people here on the like US, UK, everywhere. They all experience the same thing. Then most likely you will too at some point, right? So having these things, hopefully in some way more clarified, so you can see what the problems
or
might
made
be.
peace with. Yeah.
Yeah, or just that.
Yeah,
then
just
maybe,
so that you don't be shocked, you know.
Yeah, don't be shocked, and then
Yeah.
maybe you can do something to help navigate it.
Yeah.
In some way. So that's why we
Awesome.
talk about them.
See you guys.
Yeah, we'll wrap up and then we'll
Yeah.
see you another time. Bye.